Welcome back to Frontier Firewood. My name is Bracken, and last time I cut with the 500i with the 10-pin sprocket, and this is what 1 tank of fuel will get you. About right here I threw my chain. I did it twice, and the tank was pretty much out of fuel. So I went inside, took the 10-pin off, put a different one on, put a 25-inch bar, and it's back in my job box. The weather's been on and off all day today. Hopefully I can get another tank on a chainsaw ran through real quick. It's actually the 592 with a 20-inch bar, 10-pin sprocket, 3/8 chain, 050, and it's a Duke's skip tooth. It's actually the same one that just came off the 500i. This is just all for fun. So if it starts raining, that'll be the end of the video, but we appreciate you guys all clicking on this, and I'll get back to you here shortly. Well, my initial thought was showing the difference fuel economy between the 500i and the 592, but it's like comparing an apple to an orange. I don't know the difference fuel capacities, and maybe Buddy will enlighten us someday. He's pretty good at remembering numbers. I'll ask him to look it up. But if you remember, we didn't have the basket on the end very much full, and we're still on a half a tank on the 592. I had to laugh halfway through. My wife said, "Wow, that's a quiet saw." If any of you guys know, the 592 is not quiet. It's just the difference between a ported saw that's got an open exhaust or a stock 90cc saw, it just kind of made me laugh. We appreciate you all who comment, like, share, and subscribe. This is a different journey for us as we try to navigate through the YouTube world. And this is going to conclude this episode because my wife's cold. No, she's smiling in the background. But I grind all my chains, and this chain I hand filed the rakers, and it was a little hungry. It was pulling it around. I had the same angles as I did on the 500i, but I have it on my grinder basically maxed out to 35 degrees, the 10-degree head tilt, 55 degrees on the head, and it's fun to cut with. I don't recommend that on all the saws or oak or any of them other hardwoods. So my final thoughts is I'll probably put that brain fart that I had in the back corner of my head, what a 10-pin sprocket would be like running. Take the 10-pin off, put it back in my drawer, and as fun as this was, it's not necessary to cut wood. It's probably, I don't know all the physics, it's probably hard on the saws. The 592, you can definitely tell, has way more torque. The 500i, it definitely has more chain speed. So I don't know if you'll be able to tell the difference in the video, but it was fun either way telling the difference in the hand. And we appreciate you all for watching, and until next time. Like we always say, remember who you are and what you stand for. Now the sun comes out. You want to keep cutting?
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until